Hey guys, my name is Kelsey. I am teaching physics at Lee Summit High School, and this is more of a blended course than just online. I'm still in class teaching them, but using Schoology as a way to kind of enhance their learning, do some quick assessment checks, maybe turn in some homework, do some final summative assessment things. Not quite sure yet, but really just diving in. So the first standard I'm going to talk about is the course overview and introduction. So I've put this in here. I've got my contact information, course tour video that we had to make, and how to get started. So I'm actually tell them explicitly how to start. I've also dumped in the other resources that we were given about academic integrity, what we expect from them. I'm having them take a quiz. The online policies for students, even though this isn't an online class, I figured it doesn't hurt to see them again and they still apply to the blended learning. What technical skills are expected, online etiquette, and then a quiz to indicate to me that orientation is complete. I have in the syllabus put, let's see, I linked it here, so they have the course requirements based on the course guide here, the prerequisites. So that's the first standard. I believe I've touched on all of those. Okay, the next standard is the learning targets that are linked. So I did most of my activities down towards the bottom because this is where we are currently, and it was just easier as opposed to starting from the beginning. The first thing that I did is we run through a calendar when we teach our physics. So we've set aside the whole unit. We've talked about what that looks like. We follow kind of the same pattern when it comes towards the end into those tests. But I put this first because all of the students can see what they'll have to do, what's assigned of them, and kind of what that timeline looks like. So to that, I've attached the main learning standard that we have for this unit. We kind of, have that overarching learning target, and then it gets broken down into smaller pieces from there. And so this really is that introduction to, can you do this? Or at least at the beginning, it's going to be more of a, this is what you're going to have to do. And then by the end, it's going to be more of a, can you do this? So that's that. Each of the activities we've done has a different learning target that's more specific, linked to it. And some of them have quite a few that are applicable. I was a little hesitant to put more in just because so many would fit and too many is a little overwhelming. And we're getting ready to kind of transition towards the new science standards. And so even though they said you'll never have to do this again, I think that I will probably have to do this again by the time I get back to simple harmonic motion again next year. So those are all there. There's a few more things in terms of measurable these outcomes. So one of our big projects at the end is this summative torque lab. Students have to take a picture of a balanced meter stick with different weights on it and then write equations to prove that the sum of the torques making the meter stick go clockwise are equal to those going counterclockwise. And so here, these things are, you're able to compare the torques caused by various forces. You can design an experiment because this is all the instructions really that they're getting, other than a little bit more generic in how I want it turned in. I'm not really telling them how to go about it. And then can you calculate those torques? And then finally, can you represent a relationship between force and torque? And so those will all be shown in their work. So those learning targets are there. They're measurable. They're things that not only give kids a heads up about what they're going to do, but also let them kind of look back and review and say, can I do that? Learning target is assessment and measurement. So how are we actually measuring the stated learning standards? The easiest one to look at would be a summative final. So after they've taken that simple harmonic motion test, which I'll show you, I did out of order, but that's okay. They'll take this semester 2 final. All of these have the learning target aligned with the questions, and it takes them through the entire course of the second semester. So up to this point, they've done different types of assessment, so like that torque lab, or different tests and quizzes, assignments, that sort of thing, kind of leading up to this semester final. Here's another one just based on this unit, simple harmonic motion test. These are a little bit harder to do for physics because it requires them to do math, and that's hard to do on a computer, and so most of what's in here are the multiple choice options, so you can see there's not a ton, but this would just be a portion of that overall assessment piece. There's a few activities in here that have rubrics built into them, so that students explicitly know what they're being graded on. It's in here in one of the discussion pieces on the video. So overall, that would be the assessment and measurement. We don't really have a lot of, there they are. Ideas that have to stray from these learning targets, and so that makes it easy. The last one is the instructional materials, and one of the learning targets on there is that the reading level is appropriate for the students. There's not a ton of reading here, but we've been working on a lot of the vocabulary in terms of the physics from the beginning. As you can see with this learning target, there's quite a bit that's thrown in there. And so they'll be able to handle this quite well. I've embedded videos for them, a few little quick check kind of things. This video is more of a kind of elaborating on what we talked in class, and then a few activities for them to do to get some feedback. So the actual instructional materials are meant to just kind of further engage them and help them reach that goal of mastering the learning target, and just really fit within what we have for the unit. Also have included some resources, not so much instructional activities, but things that come from the textbook, and those have all been cited. Any videos we have been given the, I'm pulling them from YouTube, and they've been given the proper sourcing through here, and then I should have a video with me talking over an app, and they do the same there too. So I make sure in the video that I talk about that. So I think overall that's that learning target. I don't know if you could say that it has breadth and depth, just because I'm using this as a blended class. Oops. There is kind of a lot of different activities that they have to do, and so it requires them to do different things to show their different types of learning. So I think for a blended course, it increases what they have to do without increasing the amount of work, if that makes any sense. So that is my course tour. Hope you had a great time.